Okay, so today I want to compare the different real estate options that I would have available to me when I go back home to Kenya. If you've been following along thus far with my videos, you know that I plan on moving back to Kenya within a few months. Now, my original plan was to go back, buy some land, build some real estate, and have a constant, income coming in every month that I can one, live off of, and two, venture into different other businesses with that money. Now, the way Jimmy operates, I'm not opposed to changing my plans. I'm not opposed to choosing a whole new path or taking a different road, a different path. Generally, I know where I want to get, but that path at times is blurry. So I'm going to show you guys where I'm conflicted, right? On one hand, I can build that real estate, and on the other hand, I can go to Kenya, look for already built apartments somewhere around the city, right? Get me a decent apartment and save a lot of my investments rather than dumping it into real estate so that I can, one, have the security of the apartment that I bought, and then two, have all that extra money that I would have put into real estate available to just venture directly into business. Now, the confliction comes in because of value and potential and future prospects and everything. And I want to explain all that to you guys, right? So I've been following the Kenyan real estate market for quite a while. Probably, I would say, a total of like 5, 6 years, just casually looking at how much land in this area is or how much apartments in Nairobi are going for and the size of apartments, the area, all that. I've been pretty well adapted to the the Kenyan real estate market and how it's growing. Now, it hurts these days. It hurts to go online, look for land in a place like, let's say, Syokimau. Syokimau is adjacent to the international airport for the non-Kenyans watching. It's like right next door, right? Like you get out the airport, you turn right or left, and then Syokimau is there. And I'll give you an example. Probably 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago, when I started looking at land and apartments, I was seeing plots of land in Syokimau for like two, 1.5, 2 million shillings. 3 million shillings was high end, was like top of the market at one point, right? Nowadays, when I log in to these online platforms, these real estate platforms, and I look at land in the same places I was looking at years ago, Sirkimau now it's like on average 3 million shillings is like entry almost now. You'll still find plots out there for like 2 million, this and the other, but I'm seeing a whole lot of threes, fours, and 5 millions, right? So I've seen the market rise, and the same for what's it called, apartments. When I started looking at apartments back then, you could find places in like Kilimani back then, probably like for like 2, 3 million, like when you were buying like things off plan meaning that like you pay money ahead of time before the building is even built, and then you have your guaranteed that your apartment will be ready, and it's usually cheaper because you're giving the developer the money up front rather than the developer using their own money and then having to, what's it called, make a small profit on top of that from you. And when I started looking at real estate back then, like the actual apartments, places in like Kilimani, Kileleshwa back then, you could find like new buildings coming up, and then you could find like opportunities for like 2 million, 3 million, maybe 4 million Kenyan shillings. Nowadays, when I log in into these places, the same type of apartments I was looking at are like on average 5 million Kenyan shillings floor entry, and then now you're talking 6, 8, 10, 12, 15. You're seeing a whole lot of 18s, 25s, this and the other. Now, the places I'm talking about that I was looking at weren't like the high end, pure breed, new buildings, glass, and all that. it wasn't also off the beaten path, but just your average building that comes up, and then not too fancy, not too shabby, but decent enough that both a foreigner and a local would live in. But it's also not the top of the market. So seeing this rise in land and real estate, and then having the plans to go back, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I am not opposed to buying an apartment and going straight into what's it called, business. The reason I think that that would be a good option is because, one, all my funds and investments won't be tied up in building. And two, building is not as straightforward as you may think. You may go to break ground, and where your plot is located could be very rocky. So now you're spending an extra, who knows, 200,000, 500,000 Kenyan shillings just to clear out the ground. Then you get to a floor and some issues made up, or you forgot to engineer a pipe for the bathrooms and all that. Basically, when you're building, costs rack up very, very quickly. So it's like in my head, I can go to an architect and a developer and get a full quote, get everything, what's it called, situated and understanding. Like, okay, I'm gonna spend 25 million Kenyan shillings to build this building, or 30 million Kenyan shillings. And then by the time you're finished, you're in the 35s, 40s, maybe 45 million Kenyan shillings, depending on how good of a contractor and engineer and all that you have. So that that option to build is there. But the security that you get with your own apartment, oh my gosh, there's something in my eye. Give me 1 second. The security that you get with the apartment is, one, a roof over your head, obviously, and two, no stress of what's it called, dealing with contractors, no stress of getting ripped off, no stress of what's it called, getting overpriced for materials and all this, or dealing with the city inspectors or people who may want bribes. Basically, it's a very simple path to go straight into real estate. But there's also confliction at the same time, because I can't, with my Kenyan brain and my Kenyan understanding, I can't sleep well at night knowing that this pretty apartment that I'm in could have gotten me a nice 50 by 100 plot over in Juja or over in Roy and Roy Sambu, those areas out there, right? I wouldn't be able to sleep well at night. Like, it would keep me up knowing that instead of buying land, I bought an apartment. And that's where the confliction comes in. Because at the same time, when you're going to buy land, depending on where you're going, like let's say Siokimau, who I said earlier, there's plots in Siokimau that are commercial, and then there's plots that are what's it called, residential, meaning one you can build apartments and one has to be a single family home. Both are very valuable. And then the weird part is sometimes you'll look online and you'll see like a residential plot for like 4 million Kenyan shillings, because people out there building like mini mansionettes, like upper middle class type of homes or middle class type of homes. And then you'll see those residential plots for like 4 million, but then like just further down the road, like somewhere in like Katani area, all that Katani circa mile, just somewhere further down the road, you'll also see a commercial plot for like 5 million, which sometimes to me like just blows my mind. I'm just like, how? How is the commercial plot just a million more shillings than the what's it called, than the residential plot? And then even then, when we're comparing what's it called, buying an apartment to building apartments, there's also the option of building my own home instead of buying the apartment. So let's say I was going to spend 8 million Kenyan shillings to buy a nice decent apartment, or 5 million Kenyan shillings to buy an apartment, right? Depending on how you build and what level of finishings you put into your home, you could get a home. Realistically, you could get a home. I'm not bougie. I am not I'm not in the mindset of, oh, I want to go to Kenya and flex and everyone be like, oh, yo, that dude's doing it big. I'm okay being unknown, under the radar, living in regular places with regular people to save money. But there's so much confliction because it's like buy an apartment or build a house, buy the land for what's it called for the apartments and live in one of the apartments or just build a house. There's so much that I could do. But overall, I am not glued to any one plan. The original plan is still to build apartments, right? And even when I think about it, I'm like, I can still buy the commercial land and let's say go do the foundation, do the first floor, and do the second floor, and stop, and then venture into business, and let business money finish the rest of the building. There's so many ways to go about this, right? But it's all about security and how long you can last. Realistically, if I buy the apartment and I have all my savings left over, I can last in Kenya for probably a few years, just living decently in the apartment and living off my what's it called, or I can build the first floor and second floor of the apartments, have the first floor generating me income from shops. Because usually, when you go to these densely populated areas and places where people are building apartment buildings, multi floor units, the first floor is always shops. You'll find barbershops, little like corner store type of delis where we have here in America. You'll find you name it, a small cell phone shop. You'll find little hotels. Hotels are our little restaurants. We call them hotels, but here we'd call them like restaurants, I guess. But yeah, you can find you can generate income from just the first and second floor of my building, meaning the first floor is shops, second floor is maybe two, three, or four units, right? And that can even be enough to sustain your monthly living there in Kenya. In addition to that, those shops, I don't have to rent them out. Those can be my entrance into business. When I think about it, right? I'm like the original plan is to go and build the full 4 or 5 stories and have a bunch of units bringing you money. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, what if I build the first floor, second floor, and the first floor has 3 or 4 different shops, and all those shops are little businesses that I start. I bring my cousin here, hey, Mary, make this a Yamachoma shop. Bring another cousin, make this a what's it called shop. Uh, Giving opportunities to both my family that are along my age group and still generating income. But you guys let me know in the comment section. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Don't be shy to comment. Don't be shy to tell me that my option is not the best one. I am open to anything, but I want like logical comments. Don't just be there in the comments talk about like, bro, you about to lose all your money. Cool. That's a possibility, which I'm okay with. This is life. Life doesn't go as you plan. But yeah, you guys let me know. Is option one the best? Go to Kenya, build real estate, and then rely on that real estate. But at that point, most of your money's already gone into that building that you've built, or go buy an apartment, have a good chunk of your investment still left over, and use that big chunk to start businesses, or go build a entry level home that would have costed the same amount as that apartment realistically, because some of those apartments are going 5 to 7, 8 million Kenyan shillings on average, like around Nairobi, like decent places that you would want to live. And even like if I was to buy the apartment, I would want it to be decent enough that let's say I leave Kenya, let's say all this fails and I had bought the apartment. That apartment can one generate income as like an Airbnb while I'm back in the States, right? That apartment can be a place for me to come back to whenever I visit Kenya and get back on my feet. But I'm not opposed to all these plans. Like I said, apartments, build apartments, buy an apartment, build a house, or build the first 2 floors of the apartments and what's it called? Generate money from that and still have a big chunk and go venture into businesses. But overall, I'm not opposed to any of these options. I am okay to pivot very quickly. Yeah, I think that's it. You guys let me know because I spend quite a decent amount of time online looking at land. Like right now, I'm on, is it Gigi or Jijil? And right now I'm looking at like places in Syokimau, Katani, behind the airport and all that. And like right now I'm looking at a, what's it called? Syokimau commercial plot on Main Tarmac Road. Car parking, land area. Okay, this says 1 acre, which I low key don't believe, but it low key might be true. Hold on, this is prime commercial, touching tarmac, Italian Road. First row, second phase, front row, all that. There are two options available: 50 by 100 for 5.5 million Kenyan shillings and 75 by 100 for 6.5 million Kenyan shillings. So let me actually do these conversions for people to understand what I'm talking about. KSH to USD, and it said the 50 by 100 was 5.5 million, 5,500,000. That's 42,000 USD, right? 42,000 USD for a commercial plot. But that 42,000 can actually get you a very, very decent, what's it called? A very decent apartment somewhere within Nairobi. That 42,000 can still buy you the land, but by the time you put that first and second floor, foundations are usually the most expensive part of any building, right? So that foundation slab could cost you another 2 million, 3 million Kenyan shillings. So you're in another $20,000 just to get your foundation and first floor up. You guys get the point. There's a bunch of different options. That 5.5 million Kenyan shillings, that 42,000, that's now looking very, very normal in Nairobi. It hurts. It hurts. As much as I want to see Kenya progress and move forward, and I love it, and I love seeing all the new buildings coming up and everything, it hurts because it's like, I once looked at these apartments for 3 million. I once looked at them for 2 million. I once looked at that same area for the same size plot of land, commercial, 50 by 100, was going for 3 million a few years ago. But now everything is jacking up. Kenya's rising, Kenya's moving. I'm happy and I love it. So, you guys let me know, of all those options, maybe there's even an option I didn't throw in there. Maybe I don't even buy an apartment. I don't buy land. I go and I rent for like a year or two and just use all my investments to go straight into business. I wouldn't be opposed to that. But it's the security part. Like everyone understands, even here in America, they tell you, oh, buying a house is not the best investment. Building a home is not the best investment. We're all humans at the end of the day. People want that mental security. You want to know that you're not going to be homeless. I want to know that even if all fails in Kenya and I have to go back to the US, right, that I'm not going to be homeless and I'm not going to hit like rock bottom, be like sleeping outside or have to go back to a family member's home. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. That's the end of this video. I love y'all and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.